Welcome to another payment integration video. Today we're gonna go and integrate a new gateway that we haven't done before on this channel, which is Adyen. This is the end result of what we're trying to implement. Again, we have our simple payment page over here. Click on checkout and you're gonna then get redirected to this payment page. Grab a test card. Here is the test card. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a Visa card. Enter that, expiry, CVV. You click pay, payment is done, and you get redirected to your result page on your merchant page. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So what is exactly going here? What's going on is that I'm using Adyen's sessions flow hosted checkout solution. So they have multiple solutions, but this time I'll take you through their web hosted checkout solution. It's basically a customizable payment page. Typically looks like this, but you can customize it with any logo, background picture, background color that you want, and also you can do 3DS, alternative payment methods depending on the country, within the same page. So it's an all-in-one solution, and it's pretty simple to integrate. How? Like this. So basically what's happening is that my app sends the amount in occurrence to my server. My server then sends a payment request to Adyen's API. And then Adyen returns the link to that page that I just showed you. And then that link, your server will return to the app. The app will redirect the user to that payment page. The user is gonna enter the card information directly on Adyen's hosted page, making this a PCI compliant solution. Then Adyen is gonna do the authorization. And if there's 3DS before the authorization, Adyen is also going to take care of it, and it's going to redirect the customer to the 3DS page where they can enter their OTP and get their authentication done. Anyways, after those authorizations done, Adyen is going to take you back to your merchant website, and there your app is going to request the payment status from the server, which can receive the payment status either via webhooks that get sent from Adyen to your server, or as I'll be demonstrating in this video, your server requests that status from Adyen. So in this case, we're doing that. So my server is going to send an API request to Adyen's API request to Adyen's gateway to get the payment status, and it will then send it back to the app, and the app will show it to the user. And that's all. Now let's show you how that is implemented. I'm going to be following this integration guide, and this integration guide basically have two steps. Step one is create a payment session. So you will send a request that looks like this. You will give the important information that you put in this API request is amount, currency, and your merchant URL, the result page that the Adyen needs to direct the customer to after the payment is done. There are other information over there that you gotta enter, like for example the theme ID, which you create in their portal. I'm gonna show you how to do that. And then it will get this status parameter over here that says complete. Completed means it's done. You can go ahead and ship the order. Pretty straightforward, right? So that's the guide that we're gonna be following, and let's go ahead and do some coding. Okay, so starting from a brand new payment page that doesn't have any payment method integrated to it yet, we're gonna go ahead and integrate Adyen Hosted Checkout into this application. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a component that's gonna have the checkout button over here. That's gonna trigger the API call to my server to ask for the payment page. So let's go ahead and code that first. Okay, so we created the button. Now we need to follow the guide to know how we can request a payment from Adyen. So back to the guide here. So the first step you gotta do is that you gotta create a Adyen test account. Just Google Adyen test account. You're gonna get this page over here. Here I'll say create a free test account. Click on that. Then here you're gonna sign up. You're gonna get access. to Adyen Test Center. And that's where you're gonna get your API key, your client key, and you're gonna be able to set the theme, look at your transactions, and do a bunch of other stuff like setting up webhooks and so on. But I already have one, so I'm gonna just log in to mine here. Okay, so here's going to tell you your requirements are, you need to get your API key, client keys, set up webhooks. But I managed to get this working just by having my API key, and I really didn't need the client key for anything. That might be different for other people that are using client library, but in my case I'm just using API calls. So really all I need is just the API key. Anyways, you can follow these steps to get your API key. It's pretty simple. You just go to your test account settings, developers. You just go to developers, API credentials. You click on the WS one for web services, and your API key will be here under authentication. So this is just your API key. You grab that and use it in your integration. Anyways, once you have that, now you need to go ahead and set up a theme. So to set up a theme for your payment page, you need to go again back to your account, settings, themes, and here you can go ahead and create a new theme for yourself. I already created one here. I'll just click on edit to show you what's going on inside. So here you can be able to, it'll show you a preview of your theme. You can put a logo, that's my logo. You can put the name that's going to be displayed in the payment page. A background picture like you saw in the example over here. You know, let's go ahead and add a background picture here. There you go. Okay, and now the theme ID is going to be here. You need to grab that for your integration. This is what you're going to add in your API request to select the theme that you want to use for the payment. So, back to the guide. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and start coding. So this is the request that we're going to use to create the payment page. Let's go ahead and test out on Postman before we start coding it. This is my example. Here, I set my currency to Saudi Riyal. This is 1,000, but it's actually the payment amount is 10. So this is like my previous Amazon payment services video. Here you need to enter the number, the amount that you want to pay with the decimals. So for example, and it depends on the country. So if you're using a currency that has 2 decimals, like for example Saudi Arabian Riyal, like dollars, like Singaporean dollars, and so on, then if you want to pay $10 or 10 Saudi Riyal, you're gonna put 1,000. So let me zoom in so you can see. So these 2 digits are actually cents, and this is the amount, 10 Saudi Riyal. So if I want to do, for example, 1099, it's going to be 1099. This is because there are some currencies, like for example Bahraini dinar, that has 3 decimals. In that case, this would just be 1, not 10. Anyways, so let's send the request to test it. There you go. The request is successful. And by the way, my API key is just a header value that goes on here, X API key, and this is my API key. This is my payment page link. Click on that, and this is my payment page. Now we know that it works, so I'm not going to go ahead with my payment here. I'm going to just jump straight into coding this in my server endpoint. So first I'm going to create my server endpoint project file. So I went ahead and created an endpoint project folders for the first API call to create the payment, and then the second API call to get the payment status. So let's go ahead and start coding the first one, which is the create session API. I'm going to first clean up my new project. Okay, so the endpoint is working. Now, all I gotta do is fill this with the code to create the session. And if you're using Postman, Let me move myself over here so you could see, and make my head a little smaller. So here you could just go to the API that we just created, which is this one. And if you're using Postman, go to the right here. There's a code symbol. Click on it. Here you could get yourself a code sample in any language. I could just go and get myself a NodeJS Axios sample, which is what I'm using to code here. So grab that, back to my endpoint project, paste it, wrap it in try catch statement, like this. And just organize everything. So the amount you're gonna get from the client side. Actually, let's do this. I'll make my client side pass the amount as it is, like 92.97, to my server, and then my server is gonna take care of converting it to a Adyen accepted amount. So here I'm gonna do this. My return URL is going to be the result page in my app. I already pre-built this for us. This is what it looks like. It's just empty. So I'm going to redirect to that, and over there I'm going to handle the logic that gets the result. So leave that as it is for now. For the reference, we need to create our own unique reference, and for that you can just have any code that generates what do you call it? That generates a random alphanumerical string for our reference. So if you don't know how to do that, you don't need a fancy library or anything. Just use ChatGPT to get you that code. So give me a Node.js code that generates a random alphanumerical string given a length. There you go, and that's how we're going to generate a reference. Copy that, go back to your code, paste that there, and this is going to be your reference. 8 digits. Take that, slap it here. Okay, now your theme ID, you're going to get it from the portal again, from the customer area here. This is going to be on your theme all the way in the bottom, so just copy that and add it to your code. I've already pre-added mine. Your country code is going to be the 2-digit country code. For me, it's Saudi Arabia, so it's A. United Arab Emirates is AE. And if you're not sure, just look it up in Google. 2-digit country code list. You should be able to find it here. So if you're from, let's say, Botswana, it's BW. Okay, now the expiry date. Same thing that we did before. You need to generate this, and it's gotta be like 2 hours. I'm gonna make the expiry date 2 hours from when the payment was requested. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT again and ask it to make this for me. There you go. Copy this code again. Go back to your code here. Paste it. Here I'm gonna do 2 hours instead of hours ahead. I'm just gonna do 2 since I know what I want. Make it 2 hours. Take that. This is gonna be my expiry date. Cool. And my API key is the one that I'm getting from my Adyen customer area. I'll just grab mine from Postman here. Now you shouldn't be pasting your code, your API key like this. You should be using something secure like environment variables or whatever to keep the keys in your endpoints. You shouldn't be just hard coding them like this. But just for demo's sake, and to keep things simpler, I'm just leaving it like that. Alright, so that is all. Now we get a response, and from the response we just want one thing and one thing only, which is the URL. Cool, I think my code is complete and I can now test. Now I can get it to work. Now just try it over here. This is my test link. Let's do 20. If I send it, Oh, my bad. It should be 20 because it's going to take care of converting it to 20. So let's do 20. This is my link. I open it and I get my payment page link over here, which is working. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy this to production and add it to my client side. Alright, in the meantime, we can start coding this in the client side. So I'm going to do something similar to what I did in the server to call the API using ReactJS. Cool, my endpoint has been deployed here. Now I can go ahead and try it in my client side. So give me 1 second. Okay, I can go ahead and try it now. Refresh, click checkout, it's loading, it's calling the API, it's sending the amount, and I should get the same thing that I saw over here, which I'm doing that. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and try a payment over here. Enter my card information here. Expiry date is 03/2030 and 737, like the airplane. Hit pay, and what's happening here is that it's redirecting me to the URL that I told it to redirect to, but I made a mistake here. I don't know if you could see this. I asked to return to HTTPS, but in localhost there's no HTTPS, it's HTTP. So I should just fix this in my code, which I'll do that off the video to save you guys time. But the point is here, I'm getting a few parameters here. Let me just put this somewhere you can see. Check this out. You can see it here. Let me expand this. There we go. Now, here you can see that not only it redirected to my result page, but also it gave me a few parameters. One of them is the session ID, and my session result, some hash for the session result that I need to use later. But I also gonna fix my code to add the reference over there as well in the result page, so I can say your order number XYZ is successful. Cool, so let's do that. I'll fix that in my code first. So back to my create payment code here. First thing first is I need to remove this S. Second thing is I need to add my reference as a parameter. So reference equal, and then here plus the reference that I generated. Save, and then I'm gonna redeploy this Firebase deploy. And while that's deploying, now we can start worrying about building the endpoint for getting the payment result. Okay, so I got the redirection result here, and in the result URL here, I can see the session ID, the session result here. So I should be able to take those and use this get call over here. I don't know if you can see it. Use this get call over here to get the result. So let's try that. I'm gonna just copy and just fill in. Since this is the session ID, let me just take that, go over here, grab the session ID, just directly from the link, go back here, fill it in, and then this is session results, that long string that we have within the URL. So I'm just gonna go highlight that, copy, and paste it here. There we go. So it worked. I got the result. Now this is how you do it. And now I'm just gonna implement an endpoint that takes the reference, which is gonna be here in the URL after the payment is done, the session ID and the session result, and send them to that endpoint. I'm gonna send those to my server, and then my server is gonna use it to get the session result, like in the same way that I showed you here, and return that to the client, and that will be the payment result that is returned. So let's go ahead and code that in our get payment status endpoint. Okay, there we go. So I got the session ID, I got the session result. What I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna put it on the URL, and oops, I forgot to add my credentials in the request, so let's do that. Here, I can just copy it over from here, take that, paste it here, like this, and that should do it. Now, we just gotta test this before we deploy it to production and put it and use it on the client side, so let's do that. Cool, here's my simulator URL. Take that, go to Postman. Now what we want to do is that we want to do get payment status, and it will look something like this. So if I should be able, if I send this data to this, I should get just successful here. So send it. It says successful. Now so it means this thing is working as a post. That's how I did it. You don't have to do it this way, but this is how I'm doing it. Okay, now let's go ahead and deploy this to production since it's working, and then use it on our client side, and everything will be great. Firebase deploy. Cool. And in the meantime, let's prepare our client side to consume that endpoint. So everything is good to go here on the checkout page. Now I gotta move to my result page and start working on it. So here in my result page, I need to read the reference from the URL. I need to read the session ID from the URL and the session result, because I'm going to use those to send to my endpoint and get the session result. So to do that, we need to use search params like this. And then here I'm going to create a constant called search params, and I'm going to do use search params, and then here I'm gonna be able to identify to get my values and assign them to variables here. So const reference, I'm going to do search params dot get reference, like that. And the same thing with the rest. And my session result. And let's go ahead and test this. So here I'm going to do use effect. Okay, save. Now let me fix this. Instead of doing HTTPS, I'll do HTTP. Run it and check this out. I'm getting all my values here except the reference, because I haven't implemented that yet. So let's do another payment so I can show you that it's working. Pay, and now here we are in my payment page, and I get all my URL params displayed here. Now I can send those to the to my API to get the session result, and then display the result here in the result page. So to do that, we need to implement that API request over here. Okay, let's test this, see if it's working, because I implemented it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that by printing the results once the API response is back. So let's do that like this, data, and see what gets printed out in the console. Refresh. There you go, successful. So we're getting the response, everything's correct. I just gotta put some user feedback in here to indicate that. I just gotta put something to indicate that on the screen now. Now I just need a loading indicator that shows up when the results are being loaded from the server, and I need something that says your order is successful once we get the result. So to get the loading indicator, I included this component here again, and I included a state for is loading, and it's set by default to true when the component appears until the loading the result is done. Then it's no longer loading. And here I'm setting the status also as a state variable to successful when it's successful, and when it's not successful, I'm going to set it to failed. And then that's going to be the text that get printed when the result is loaded. So here I'm going to do that. So there you go, very simple code. Now if I save and refresh, this is what we get. There you go. This is pretty much complete. Now I just gotta run this from the beginning to show you the end result. So let's do that. Localhost, checkout. We get the payment page. Now go ahead and grab a test card. Grab this card again. Sorry. Paste. Expiry 03/20/30 737, like the airplane, and pay. And you can redirect it. The result is loaded, and then it tells you your order, and this is the reference number for the order is successful. And that's it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And that's it. Pretty straightforward integration. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Note that this is not an official guide. This is just my experience integrating this solution. So make sure to refer to the integration guides on Adyen website, which I'm going to link in the description box below. If you want to support the channel and get access to the source code that I used in this video, instead of having to follow the video from scratch and build your own, save yourself some time, check out the Patreon link below in the description box to support the channel. And that's all. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye bye.